I'm a grown man with grown kids. Ain't nobody gonna talk to me like that. Nobody.
Darrell Brooks pushing back on Judge Doro as he prepares to start his defense case. I'm Angenette Levy, and welcome to this latest edition of Law&Crime Sidebar podcast. This week, the jury in Darrell Brooks's trial got to see the red SUV he's accused of driving into that Waukesha Christmas parade last year, killing 6 people and injuring dozens more. The trial has been a complete spectacle. If you've been watching it, you know what I'm talking about. Brooks objects. He loses a lot of his objections. He claims he's a sovereign citizen, so he's not subject to the laws of the United States or the state of Wisconsin for that matter. And joining me to discuss this trial is Julius Kim. He is a criminal defense attorney in Wisconsin, and he knows a lot of the players in this case. So Julius, welcome to Sidebar. Thanks for coming on.
Hi, Angenette. My pleasure.
First of all, Julius, you know Judge Doro, Jennifer Doro, and you also know the prosecutor in this case, Szoke. So tell us a little bit about Judge Doro first off.
Judge Doro, as we can tell, is a really nice person, a very patient person. She's a former assistant district attorney in Waukesha County. And then she, after she left the DA's office, she became a defense attorney, quite frankly, which I think has kind of served her well in this particular case because she's demonstrated an enormous amount of patience with Mr. Brooks. And I think that comes with her experience in dealing with defendants and people that might be under a lot of stress. Szoke, she's been a very experienced prosecutor. She's a hard-charging prosecutor, no nonsense. And she's assembled a good team, too. Her deputy district attorney, Leslie Basie, is with her as well. And they have another younger assistant, Zach Wichow, that's assisting her also. So I think that the prosecutorial team is a really good team as well.
Well, let's take a look at one of the clips from Thursday morning. Detective Tom Casey is the lead detective on this case. He was actually there at the Christmas parade the day that this happened, and he says he was almost hit by Darrell Brooks, so he can readily identify him. So let's take a look at this clip.
You referenced you were there at the beginning when the vehicle first entered in the parade. What do you recall about when the vehicle first entered the parade?
I remember a horn beeping, red Ford Escape driving around, and then you driving into me and not stopping when I pounded on your hood and window.
Driving into you, what do you mean?
I meant I was in front of your vehicle contacted me, pushed me off to the side, and continued driving without stopping.
Were you injured in this incident?
I was not injured, thankfully.
And you made reference to a horn beeping. What do you mean a horn beeping?
I mean
the vehicle was beeping its horn?
Yes, the vehicle was beeping its horn.
What would be the only time a vehicle would beep their horn?
Objection, speculation.
Grounds.
Sustained.
So, Julius, you're a criminal defense attorney. Darrell Brooks is representing himself. I mean, you've got the lead detective on the case basically saying, you hit me. I mean, how does Darrell Brooks fight back against that at all? I mean, we're kind of unclear still as exactly at this point where he's going with his case.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that Darrell Brooks' defense is not really clear because I'm not sure he knows where he wants to go with it. It seems like he's got kind of a 3-pronged attack right now. One is this whole sovereign citizen thing that he keeps bringing up about challenging the jurisdiction of the court. And then secondly, he keeps dabbling around this whole identification issue as to whether he was really the one driving the car. But third, he touched on this early on in the case, and that's this whole notion of intent as to whether he intended to hit or kill people while he was driving through this parade. He's kind of moved away from that as the case has been going on, but I don't think identification is really going to be an issue in this case. And, and as you pointed out, Detective Casey saying, I saw you're the person that was driving that car, certainly demonstrates that.
Yeah, most certainly. Well, prosecutors also showed a music video on Thursday morning that showed Darrell Brooks owned that red SUV. They show this video. They've shown a picture of him standing next to it. And it was also featured on his Facebook page. And he got really upset about that. So let's take a look at this exchange between Brooks, the judge, and then the prosecutor, Szoke, who chimed in as well.
And what relevance, if any, that evidence have, but you opened up the door for the state to show that video because you directly attacked the credibility of Detective Casey through his knowledge of it, and the identification by him of you in it, because the still image was of your back.
Okay.
So that opened up the door, and it's proper. There's absolutely no surprise to you that that video exists, and that is my finding as it relates to that.
What do you mean by it's no surprise to me that it exists? That was not the issue. The issue was, how was it made an exhibit at the last moment? How does it be made an exhibit out of the blue? That was the issue. The issue
State can
didn't
make an
have
offer of
anything to
proof
do
on
with.
that, because obviously they marked it as an exhibit.
Well,
They
with
had
all
it,
respect,
so go
Your
ahead,
Honor, you're
Attorney Upper.
mischaracterizing what I said, and the record needs to be clear. The issue that I raised was, how does this, at the last minute, out of the blue, become an exhibit? That was the
Go
issue.
ahead and make your offer of proof on that.
Thank you, Judge. So, Julius, this whole thing, I mean, Darrell Brooks is saying, you don't understand what I'm asking, and the attorney jumps in, the prosecuting attorney, the judge gets fed up. I mean, my goodness, I just can't even imagine. I've never seen anything quite like this. Have you ever seen anything quite like this in Wisconsin?
No, I've never seen anything like this. And this is a very unique situation where we have a pro se defendant on a very, very serious case like this. And the personalities are all coming into play, right? I mean, Darrell Brooks clearly has a strong personality. Judge Doro is a patient person but to a point. And then you have Sue Hopper, who's also pushing very hard in this case to make her points. And I think that combination has led to a lot of flare-ups in this case. And I think that given that we're in the third week of trial, everyone's nerves are pretty frayed at this point.
I would say so. Well, let's look at just briefly what Judge Doro said in response to all of this.
Go ahead, Attorney Upper.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm gonna take that
And
as
just
asking.
to indicate, Your Honor, this court has been abundantly patient with Mr. Brooks. He challenges the court's authority repeatedly. This court absolutely has the ability to tell him, sit down and be quiet. And you haven't done that. And I know why you haven't done that, Your Honor, and we appreciate that. He is not in control of this courtroom. You are. And he needs to respect that. This video was relevant based on his questioning of Detective Casey, as you just indicated, challenging his ability to identify the person who had their back turned to the camera in the still shot of State's Exhibit 175. Trials are fluid. When he opened the door to that, we came up with the video which Detective Casey testified repeatedly on direct examination and cross-examination as to how he knew that was Mr. Brooks, because he had seen the rest of the video. He would not accept that. He pushed it and pushed it and pushed it until we played the video.
Mr. Brooks, listen to me, please. I'm going to ask this question one more time.
Man,
It calls for
I
a
don't like
yes or
I don't
no.
like your tone and the way you're talking to me. I don't.
Mr.
I don't
Brooks?
appreciate it.
Sit down. I don't care if you don't like my
I'm
tone,
not
but
gonna-
you've
I'm
been
not gonna
pushing
sit
my
down.
buttons all day throughout this entire
Okay, you've been
trial, and
pushing
I
my
have
buttons
showed
too.
the utmost of respect
No,
for
you
you,
haven't.
and I
Absolutely
don't appreciate
not.
you impugning the integrity of this court.
If that's
I
what you want to
don't.
call it, that's fine, but it's
Stop
not accurate.
talking.
What you mean, stop talking?
I need to make a ruling. Okay,
Well,
I'm purposely
let's
not
talk-
putting
let's
you in
talk
the
to-
other courtroom
Let's
right
talk to
now.
each other like adults then.
Mr.
Because
Brooks,
I've never told you to stop talking.
I'm going to ask this question one more time, and if he doesn't answer it, I'll take it as a no. Do you want the opportunity to question Detective Casey regarding either his questioning or meeting up with your mom and your niece and nephew about possible testimony, or the search of your jail cell? Yes or no?
What was the problem with me asking the
All
question
right,
about
he's
the
not
jail
answered
cell?
my question. We'll move on.
I'm
not
trying
giving
to
that
understand. If I
All right,
don't
we're gonna take a
understand,
break.
how do
We're
I
in
know?
recess, 15 minutes
How do
from
I
now.
know
Take
what
care,
I'm supposed to answer if I don't understand?
So, Julius, how do you feel Judge Doro has kind of handled all of this? Because, I mean, Darrell Brooks has been pretty disrespectful to her, especially over the last couple of days. I mean, he started the case off poorly, sitting around without a shirt on and, having to be removed from the courtroom. Then he finally puts a suit on. Now he's literally just saying, I know what you guys are doing. It's almost like he thinks they're all against him and setting him up or something like that.
I think Judge Doro's done a great job, in all honesty. This is not something that I think a judge can prepare for. The unpredictability of not only Darrell Brooks, but of what's going to happen next. And I think in the beginning, Judge Doro wasn't quite sure how she was going to deal with Darrell Brooks because she saw so much erratic behavior. But as the trial was moving along, I think she kind of figured him out and recognized that he likes to be heard. He likes to be talked to with respect. He likes things explained to him. He tends to get more animated or aggravated when he's confused about things. So I think Judge Doro has demonstrated an incredible amount of patience because she's recognizing that the main goal is to just get through this trial at this point in time. To protect the record, yes. To protect Mr. Brooks' rights, yes. But also to make sure that the trial is completed. And the best way to do that is to make sure that she keeps Mr. Brooks calm. And it's almost like talking to a kid, in terms of reprimanding them. And I think that she's done a really nice job so far.
Well, we are going to keep watching it, and we know a lot of other people are too. Julius Kim, thanks again so much for coming on and for offering your insight. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Talk to you soon.
And that's it for this edition of Law and Crime Sidebar podcast. It is produced by Logan Harris, Sam Goldberg, and Michael Deininger. Bobby Szoke is our YouTube manager. Alyssa Fisher handles our bookings, and Kiara Bronson does our social media. You can download and listen to Sidebar anywhere you get your podcasts. That's Apple, Spotify, Google, and a lot of other places. Also, you can watch it on Law and Crime's YouTube channel. I'm Angenette Levy, and we will see you next time.